I'm going to hit start streaming and move over to my position.
I'm still looking a little blue, I think. Too much.
Let me get, there we go. Let's not unplug it. There we go.
Oh,
Okay, headphones on. All right. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. We've got John Kitchen, Mark L. Baker, we got David Clark, and Liquid Dirt 3D. Wow. That's an interesting name, Liquid Dirt. And who's that guy? No, that guy. That way. That's Raymond Emsley. Right there. My good friend Raymond Emsley, one of our community members. 3D Medic Vince, Rex Waldy, hello. There we go.
that's better.
There you go. You can see everything now, Ray?
I can, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Cool. Who else we got there? Liquid Dirt. Well, we're glad you're here too there, Liquid Dirt 3D. What are we talking about tonight? We're going to start just a couple minutes early. Hey, there's Wiley's 3D. The reason that we're starting early is so that we can do this. We can say hi to everybody. And Raymond's new to the stream tonight. John Kruger, hello. We've got Phantom Tech Ghost Gear, Raymond Millard, Ben Brady, Lucky 1008. What's up, Lucky? It sounds like a mobster name, doesn't it?
He sure does.
Hey, I'm Lucky 1008. I want to take your money. Now that I've made fun of the guy, he'll never come back.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone.
He disappeared.
Yeah, he disappeared. No, he's still here. We're going to talk about some of this stuff tonight. Hey, there's Rick Landon. Top Tech, featuring Ethan Patchen. You forgot me. I didn't forget you. I never forget anybody. Well, that's not true. I forget lots of people. But I got my good buddy Raymond Emsley with me tonight, and he's filling in for Brian.
Brian's feeling under the weather again.
No, actually, he's out on a. He's gone to some show this evening. So we let him go to the show, and that's why you're here, Ray.
Perfect.
I need a co-host, so we can actually get through a whole hour. There we go. So, Liquid Dirt. I started 3D printing 10 years ago, but stopped cold turkey 4 years ago. Now I'm back and looking forward to the new tech. Is that kind of like smoking? 'Cause I remember how many times I quit smoking before I went back to smoking.
It's kind of like any sport, really. You stop it for 10 years and then come back to it 10 years later.
There you go. And there's 3D printing and painting, our good friend Jerry Knapp. Dan Workman Jr., hello. Tell some stories about the worst 3D printing fail you've ever seen. Wow. We'll get into that during the show. Yeah, we'll get, you need to vape. Jewel or die. No, we don't need to vape. Vaping's not good for you. I tried it. It's not good for you. Okay. So what time do we have? We're, what, a couple minutes out or a minute out? I think we're a minute out.
Minute out.
And then we'll run that intro. Jatter Dark or Jaffer Dark? It's a little small. I can't read it. Hey, there's David Harmon. Hello. You guys have a Discord channel. I believe one was set up. I don't go on Discord. Brian mostly does. Yeah, so I think we do.
I have no idea.
I have no idea either. We'll check into that for you though. Now we're on a big cigarette vaping versus cigarettes thing. All right, let's run that intro. And there we are. Welcome to the First Layers live stream tonight. With me tonight is that way Raymond
way.
Emsley, the man, the myth, the legend. Raymond's one of our moderators here in our chat room. You'll see him every week. He comes in, he's got the little wrench beside his name so he can approve or disapprove comments that shouldn't be in our comment section, I suppose.
Mostly disapproved. That's just the way I am.
Yeah, that's it. He's the band hammer right there. Boom. So he's filling in for Brian tonight. We got a few things to talk about. First and foremost, we're clearing the air about a few things. Raymond brought this up to me this week, and I guess I kind of missed the comment. As you guys know, this week we talked about Filaments.ca's purge filament. I have a whack of it here. We're going to give it away tonight. And Filaments.ca did not sponsor that video. They sent us this as a courtesy, asked us to try it out. I decided to do a video on it. They are not a sponsor of the show. They have not been, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future as we grow a little bit bigger. But we are not sponsored by anybody. Yes, this studio is inside Spool 3D, but I also work for Spool 3D. So this is my office. If you're in the Calgary area, you will know that this is my office. And you can come in and you can see the studio, and we can talk, and I do repairs in here. What else do I do in here, Ray?
Oh, you didn't do much orders on Friday. I did them all.
Wow. Come on. I checked them.
You sure did. Yeah.
Shipping's not my department.
For those of you that don't know, I work for Spool 3D as well. I'm in the shipping department. So Richard usually pulls the product, he checks it, I check it, then ship it.
Yeah, it's so Raymond and I work very closely together. I actually met Raymond here in the store when he was just a customer, and when I really wasn't working for Spool 3D, technically, I guess. But Raymond got hired recently. He's been with us now, what, almost 2 months, yeah?
Just over a month.
Just over a month?
Yeah.
Raymond's doing a great job. He's learning fast, and you know, Raymond is also a 3D printing enthusiast, so Raymond has a lot of technical knowledge as well as I do. Now, as far as technical knowledge goes, I don't know every printer, that's for sure. I don't use anything but Cartesians at the moment. So Ray's the guy to blame is what Ben's saying. Getting back to the topic at hand. But yeah, I just want to say that, you know, you guys, we love having you here. And I just want to point out that we have no paid sponsors on this show. So anytime we do a show and we're talking about a product or something that's been sent to us, it is not because it's a paid sponsored show. They never are. If somebody wants to pay us to do a sponsor like Skillshare or Audible or any number of different companies, we would be happy to take them on as a promotion and sponsor. But when we do that, we don't benefit from our ad revenue on AdSense, and that's what we get through our views on YouTube and how many times you guys click past the little ads and that kind of thing. So at the end of the day, we have no sponsors. I'm the guy who sponsors this show. My company owns the show. My company produces the show, and I host the show, for lack of a better term. Raymond, have Richard look at the comments. What am I missing?
I don't know.
3D
I'm not
printing.
paying attention.
3D printing and painting. If your PTFE tube goes to the nozzle, as in the Creality machines, how does that help? It doesn't. Anytime you bring a piece of Bowden tube, especially Bowden tube that's not made for higher temperatures, and it goes down into the hot end of the hot end, where, you know, into the block, you are going to end up with garbage at the end of the day. If your PTFE goes to the nozzle in Creality, how does that help? Well, it doesn't help. I just said that. Yes, we have a lot of fires going on here in Western Canada, and it is a bit of a problem. Air quality here is pretty bad right now. How did your garage sailing go today, Ray?
Garage sale was actually pretty good. I live in a community where twice a year they do a parade of garage sales.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone signs up and there's a map put out. It was on my Facebook page. You can go to all the different places, that sort of stuff.
Cool.
I scored myself a very good deal today on CR10S.
No way.
For $375.
You got a CR10S for $375 at a garage sale?
At a garage sale.
What
Nothing wrong with it. Really good condition. It was only looked like it was only printed with maybe once or twice. It still had the spool that it came with. Spool
Wow.
of filament that it came with, the white stuff.
Wow.
I was quite surprised when I saw that.
Interesting. So, did you test it out yet?
I haven't had a chance yet. I was
Okay.
running my own garage sale at the same time as
okay.
going visiting the other ones.
Gotcha.
I just snuck away long enough while the wife actually looked after ours.
Hey, there's Knack 3D Designs. I know I missed some people here in our chat this evening. Bruce Siegel, hello. Knack 3D Designs. I know I missed some people. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Hello, welcome everybody. If you're just joining us, Raymond just bought a CR10S at a garage sale with some filament and
yeah, there's 4 rolls of filament, nothing
Wow.
wrong with it. Yeah, brand new filament still in the box.
So, what do you think? Why do you think they were selling it, Ray?
He tried to do a couple things. His problem was he's not a designer, and he wanted to design stuff. And I said, well, I could help you. And he says, but that's not the point. He likes to do things by himself. I was in his basement where he's got a whole network set up down there, the whole works. So he's very mechanically inclined. He just couldn't design what he wanted to print. And he looked on Thingiverse for what he wanted. It wasn't there.
Okay, that's odd.
So he got frustrated with it.
Gotcha. Now, Ray, you do a lot of 3D printing of stuff, and you design stuff, and you get stuff from Thingiverse and then modify it, and so on and so forth. Let's talk about some of the stuff that you've done.
I don't do much model type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Figurines, nothing like that. I generally do stuff for mechanical stuff.
Okay.
If you're on the Facebook page, you would have seen the most recent thing I did was a bullet feeder for my Dillon press. So that was all completely 3D printed right from the bucket all the way down. And what it does is you drop your projectiles in the top, it spins and then flips them right side up and drops them down the tube so you can load them onto your casing.
Gotcha.
So that's the kind of stuff I like to do. My machines are very precise. I use enders mostly. I do have a Delta and I have an FL Sun as well.
Right.
But if they're not tuned in, threads don't work properly. Things just don't fit together. And that's kind of what I like to do. I like to build things that fit together. When I take something off my printer, I like to have it finished. You like to paint things.
Yeah.
I like to get the color of filament that I want to print that in. So if I want red, I print it in red.
Very cool. Well, Raymond, with this bullet feeder, now I know we have guys here that are very much into firearms and things like that. Is this a design that you've made available, or is this something that you're keeping close to the chest?
Basically, I got the base part of it from Thingiverse because
Mhm.
there is an open source one on Thingiverse. Anyone can print that one,
Yeah,
but I found that it didn't do exactly what I wanted it to do.
gotcha.
So mine has been all redone except for the bucket itself. Once I'm satisfied with it, I will release it on Thingiverse for other people to download and be able to print themselves.
Cool. Now, when we met, you had brought an interesting challenge or an interesting piece in um, for magazines that go into
Right.
firearms.
Yeah.
I want to
Same one.
I want to show people these things because they are like freaking cool. And we talked about the quality you were getting. You were looking to get better quality.
Right. So basically, this, you get a better one there. That is what I've done. Now in Canada, the AR-15 mags are limited to 10 rounds. So they're little short mags. What this one does is clips onto the bottom of your main AR. So it makes it look like a 30 round mag. So it's easier to pull out of your pack when you're doing competitive shooting, which is what I do.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah. So what like again, like I said, I like to print it so it comes right off the printer and is usable right away. So for me, if I get weird lines in it, anything like that, back to the drawing board, I reprint it again, or I figure out why it's doing what it's doing.
Gotcha. And through that process, you've been able to suss out any little issues that you might be having on any of your printers that are printing those mags, correct?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that could be anything from the Ender to I have an FL Sun i3 that I use to print them as well. And I'm
Gotcha.
getting the same quality out of both machines.
Very cool. Derek Clark, just kind of looking here at some of the comments. Now, your comments are quite far away from me, guys, so I'm having a hard time reading them all. If there's something that you really want us to talk about, please just kind of put it all in caps or put my name or Raymond's name and hashtag before it, and then it'll kind of draw my eye to it. R. Smith is asking which Dylan press.
I have the 650 XL.
650
So it's a
XL.
progressive press. It's one of Dylan's biggest ones.
Gotcha.
And I'm capable of putting out about 1,000 9 mil rounds in about 45 minutes.
Gotcha. Now Ben's asking what slicer are you using, Raymond?
Depends on the machine. I'm using Cura on all the enders, but on the FL Sun or the i3, I use Slicer PE. It just seems to work a little bit better.
A little bit better. Let's talk
Yeah.
about slicer for a minute. And a couple of weeks ago, you guys know that we put up a video talking about the Creosum mod. I know we didn't talk anything about that last week, but in that time, I've had a chance to kind of go through it. Now, Raymond, you've put the Creosum mod on 4.0. I've put it on 4.0 here in the studio. I don't have it on 4.0 in at home because I typically use Simplify 3D. However, that being said, um, many people have had problems with it, and as soon as 4.1 came out, everything went to hell in a handbasket. So, Ray, talk about your experiences with the Creosum mod, and then I'll go into mine.
I found with the Curiosum mod, it wasn't as good as my own settings in 3.6 because I wasn't using 4 before. I was using 3.6. So I was happy with it.
Right.
It printed everything just the way I wanted to. So basically, what I did was I installed the mod. I took an item that I would normally print in 3.6, sliced it in 4.0 with the Curiosum mod. Same. What I did was I used the settings from Curiosum mod and I used the other settings, printed both of them on the same printer, same filament, and I found the Curiosum mod just it wasn't the same. It wasn't as good quality as what I was getting myself.
Gotcha. And for myself, I found it. Well, I didn't actually install it. Brian did the install on it, but I found it to be kind of hit and miss for me. So I'm still on the fence for it. The original version that we put out the video for does not work with 4.1. If you've upgraded to 4.1, all of your settings and everything that you did in that Creosum mod are toast. It won't work. You do have to go and download the new patch for 4.1. If you like the Curiosity mod, I know a lot of people out there, some had issues with it, some think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I think personally it is, if you're not into tuning your machine, this might be a way for you to get a better tune to your machines, especially if you're using Creality machines, because there's a whole bunch in there. In the 4.1 version, there is a lot more of the Creality machines in there, so it works. I have tested it. I've installed it. It works. Does it give me better than what I'm teaching in any of the courses that I do? I don't think so. Today I showed off a Thanos that I had printed using just straight settings in Cura, and just did a couple of my own minor tweaks that I would do normally anyway, for a video that's coming out. And to be honest with you, I don't believe that the Curiosity mod right now is fully tested and fully ready, because the developer is constantly doing little tweaks to it. That's why they don't tell you to download the package or clone the package from GitHub. He tells you to take the ones that are lower down, because those are the latest updated versions. So in all honesty, I think he's on to something. Definitely, he's on to something. He's on to making this a better experience for people with Creality machines. Still needs some tweaking, still needs some smoothing out, I think. What do you think, Ray?
I think so too. I may get a hold of him and send him my settings and have him do the same thing. Have him print something with my settings and print something with his settings.
Right.
Maybe there's something I have in mind that he could set into his.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Hey, there's Brian Baker, who couldn't be here tonight. Just saying hello. I forgot about the other commitments. I definitely he's back next week. So he'll be back here with us next week. Was the Thanos PLA? Yes, it was. I did print him in the white PLA from Spool 3D, their new batch, which is all Pantone colored. So if you buy some color today, you can bet in 6 months it's going to be the same color. So that's what I really like about the Spool 3D filaments. They're not the bottom of the barrel. They're not the top tier premium, but they're better than the mid average. Ray?
Yeah, I've been using the Spool 3D filament for quite some time myself as well. Yeah, you can't see in the picture behind me where I got the empty stacked up boxes in the corner. My wife's going to kill me here soon if I don't stop buying filament. I find that I've bought 2 rolls now of the red of our new red stuff, and it's identical color. It's slightly different color than our old red, but for what I'm doing, I just put the old red away, use the new red, and go from there.
Gotcha.
I like it. The only thing that I had to do with my printer was I had to move the temperature up a little bit on the nozzle
Right.
to about 210,
Okay.
which isn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I set my bed at 65 only because I have a mirror on top of it.
Gotcha. Somebody's asking if they can see the Thanos Phantom Tech Ghost Gear. Yes. If Raymond wants to entertain you for about 30 seconds, I'll run out to the showroom where I put it and bring it in.
Yeah, for sure. Like what I was saying earlier, that I make functional stuff with screws, stuff with holes. For me, it's very precise. So all my Ender printers are dialed in perfectly. My FL Sun is dialed in just the same as my Ender is. I just like it that way. I see some people posting stuff up, not necessarily on the First Layer webs or Facebook, but on other Facebook pages I'm on, and I just look at that and say, how can you consider that being a functional print?
Well, this is my new functional print. You see it?
Yeah.
This is not a
it's-
print. This is the tree supports in
Oh.
Cura. I'll see if I can get a close-up shot of this. Let me just change cameras here. Where is that camera? There we go. We'll go to camera 4. Camera 4. There we go. There we go. Camera 4. All right. So this is the tree supports. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but if it's clear enough. This is the tree support that I put on, that was on the Thanos. This was my first time trying tree supports. And I gotta say, I was happy with the experience because the model came out absolutely gorgeous. Let me see if I, there we go. Let me tighten up that. There we go. The model came out gorgeous. This was done at a 0.2 layer height with gyroid infill at 10%. It's about 7 inches tall. This is a model that you can find on Thingiverse, done in our white, or in the Spool 3D white PLA. I do have to do a little bit of work, you know, in standing before I go ahead and paint him. And yes, I will be painting him, and it will be a tutorial on Patreon. I'm no longer painting on this channel, but I do all my painting and finishing work on my Patreon. So if you want to see when we get to this guy, I'll be doing an announcement when we start this guy. Right now we're in the middle of doing Superman. You guys will get to see that. But it's solid. It came out pretty nice. Not a lot of finish work that I have to do on it, but that's Thanos.
How did you find the tree supports? Did you like them?
Man, I got to tell you, that tree support came off as one support. Just what? That's all. That's what. It didn't even break.
Wow. I usually use line supports, and I find it's the same thing. They're usually pretty good.
Tree supports are available in Cura. They've been available in Cura for a while. They're under the experimental tab at the bottom. But here's the secret to this. You don't turn on regular supports. You make sure that regular support is turned off, then you turn on tree supports. And what it will do is it will, you see these little bits at the top? Those are branches. So those branches come off and they go to different areas that need support. And being that this is hollow, the difference between printing this with this support and printing it with traditional supports is I would have had a whole lot more scarring on the back with Cura's traditional supports, which I don't have with the tree support. So the cleanup was very, very quick and easy.
Your wife will like that.
Yeah. She doesn't have to do a lot of work. Yes, it was done in Cura Top Tech. Yes. This has been available for a while. Tree supports, Eric is saying that Shep did a great video on using them. Shep did do a great video on using them. You can always go on to YouTube and check that out. But this was done on the Ender 3 for anybody that is concerned or is wondering what printer I did this on. This was done on the Ender 3, which is, for all intent and purposes, a stock machine. So, with that said, yeah, that was tree supports, man. I love those tree supports. I think those things worked out great. And I'm going to try it on other models. Like I've got a bunch of Sanex models, and I've got some from Emilio Vitt, Meg's Empanato, and the list goes on and on and on and on of designers that have sent me models or models that I've purchased from different designers. And I think I'm going to try tree supports on some of them. Richard, did you hear about the TH3D releasing the new 32-bit board running Marlin 2.0? It's available for pre-order, drop-in replacement for Creality machines. DeepArk88, hello, welcome. Yes, I did hear about it. Until I have one in my hands and I get a chance to check them out, I'm going to reserve any judgment on it. I have a couple of the big tree boards on the way. So when the big tree boards get here, I will probably be playing with those and doing some testing with them before I do a video on them.
Yeah, I have one of those big tree boards. Should be here this week. Mine.
Yeah, Brian's
And
got his already,
yeah,
and he's been doing some work with it. I'm not sure exactly what he's all up to, but he has been doing some work with it.
well, I have a big project I'm going to be putting into mine.
Oh yeah?
Mine will go into. See if I can move the camera to see it. No,
Nope.
no, no.
Okay.
I have an enclosed case that I picked up from Derek at Spool 3D that was kind of sitting in the corner. You know, the big blue one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's got a 32-bit board already in it, but the problem with it is you can't program that particular board.
Ah.
So I want to program it with the new Marlin, make sure it's going to print ABS for me.
Yeah, well, we tried. Here was the thing. When that machine came in, that's been around here for that's the blue and black one, right?
Blue and black one, yeah.
The one that feels like it's a boat anchor.
Yes.
The funny thing about that one is when he got that, there it is. When he got that thing, it printed PLA beautifully. We got a couple of really nice prints off of it, and then it just clogged up to no end. And so we changed out nozzles. We did a whole bunch of stuff. We tried putting ABS through it. Didn't like ABS at all.
Well, it says it's supposed to be able to print ABS, PEG, PLA. I haven't got it to print anything right now.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I agree that that machine. I wish you all the best of luck with that. Right? Have fun. Yeah, it worked for about a day or two, and then it stopped working. What do we got here? Yeah, the cost of that board. I ordered mine directly from BQ, that big tree board. Everybody's been getting them from like AliExpress and places like that. I ordered mine directly from BQ, and they were $22 a piece. I'm not sure what other people are paying for them, but I thought $22 for a 32-bit board was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think that's pretty well what I paid as well. I got 22.8 steppers coming with it as well.
I didn't order steppers with it. I'm just gonna grab some out of the parts room and use those.
Well, they made a mistake on mine
Oh,
because I
okay.
ordered mine the same time Brian ordered his, and I didn't get mine.
Oh,
So I emailed him and said, "Well, how come he's got his and I don't have mine?" They said, "Well, we have no record of shipping it to you." So I sent them all my records,
right.
and they said, "Well, what can we do to make you happy?" I said, "Well, you can send me some drivers."
Yeah, there you go. That
Otherwise,
solves
I would have
things.
went right to the back and picked some up as well.
Yeah, there you go. Ronnie Julian, one of the lucky 100. Okay, I'm not sure what's going. I'm missing something in the conversation here in the chat. Um, I just want to let you guys know that spamming, your YouTube channel in our comments during a live stream is a bannable offense. So just be aware of that. And anything that this is the show for the first layer. From time to time, we do mention other people's YouTube channels if they relate to our topic, and just bear in mind that if we have to hide your comments more than once or twice, there's a chance that you might get booted. So because we want to get through all the crap and get to the questions that people have about 3D printing. 77 hubs or 777 hubs.
Yeah.
He says he paid $23 on Amazon for his. Great. That's awesome. Yeah, was it Amazon Canada or Amazon US? Ronnie Julian, we're talking about the TH3D board. Okay.
So TH3D has their own 32-bit board?
Apparently they're coming out with one. that is going to be a replacement for the CR10 board. I haven't got one in my hands. Tim hasn't reached out to me to ask me if I'd like to do a review on one, or anything like that. But if he does, then I certainly will welcome the opportunity to take a look at the board and run it through. Richard was asking about recycling options for bad prints. Now, recycling options. Okay. That's a tough one because here in Canada, the only thing that you can throw in the garbage is PLA. Anything else, any other plastic must be recycled properly. Now, we're not set up here to, in Canada at least not in the West, we're not set up to recycle 3D printed plastics, whether they be PETG, ABS, nylons, polycarbonates, yada, 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 yada. That being said, PLA, as everybody knows, is corn starch based, so it can go into the landfill, it'll break down, it'll become part of Mother's natural earth again, without causing any harm to the environment. So, as far as recycling options go, do I think buying a extruder or a filament maker right now is a good option? I don't think there's any good hobbyist level extruder makers available yet. I have
They're
seen
all
a
pretty
couple.
expensive.
Yeah, they are. The one I've seen that's not horrible was done by Stefan over at CNC Kitchen. He built one out of multiple one kit and some other parts. He seems to be getting pretty good results with it. The problem is that this has to be ground down to a certain size to go through the hopper. Now, you cannot put straight used material in the hopper. You have to mix it with fresh material. And I believe the ratio is 75-25 or 70-30, something in that neighborhood. So you're only going to use 30% of your used filament right now with 70% fresh pellets. So if you're doing that, is that time worth the effort to making your own filament and the extra stuff that you have to buy? I don't think so. Not right now. I'm sure it's going to get better as time goes on, but not right now. I think right now, if you're going to do anything that needs to be structural or have some sort of durability or life, then you should make sure that you're printing in the proper plastic. And if it fails, I'm sorry, find a way to hide it in your garbage. Or if you have a recycling center for exotic plastics in your area, please go and check with them how to dispose of your plastics properly. Now, speaking of plastics, Ray, you know how many of these I got?
Quite a few.
I have about a dozen, and I want to give them away. So, I had a huge clog this week. You saw it, Ray. I posted.
Sure did.
I posted some pictures on Facebook about it. If you guys want some of this filament, I'm going to give you an email address right now. And Ray, maybe you can type this. Oh, I can type it in. Here, let me type it in down here. If you want one of these filaments, I only have 12 to give away. You have to send an email to info@thefirstlayer.com. There you go. So, if you want one of these, I have 12 to give away. I will send them to you. They're not very heavy. Follow the instructions on the back. I know people have a hard time following instructions sometimes. So, follow the instructions on the back. I know it looked goofy when I was wearing my safety glasses, but there is a reason for that. So go ahead and try this. If you want this, send me an email. And the first 12 emails I get to info@thefirstlayer.com. You must have your name, your mailing address, and your phone number. in there as well, and we will send you one of these from our friends at filaments.ca. So we
When
took
you
care of that
receive it,
business.
when you receive it, please let us know what you think of it.
Yes, absolutely. Go onto our Facebook page at Facebook/groups/the first layer and give us your opinion on it, or put a comment down below, and we'll go from there. Yeah, let us know what you think. I like it. I think it works. It seems to have worked for me. So I don't know. Everybody's experience is going to be different. As long as you follow the instructions. I know I had a big tete-a-tete with a fella who said, I'm blinded by this. And I don't think so. I followed the directions. It did what it advertised that it would do. If you are interested, you are going to need to, again, post your findings. Let us know what you want, what it is. Miles is saying that he can't copy the email. Miles, you know it. It's info@thefirstlayer.com. Miles, just go ahead and send me an email. Info, I-N-F-O, @thefirstlayer.com. It's pretty easy. Now, Richard, is Cura 4.0 have Wi-Fi capability? I do not know. I have not checked that.
4.1 does, or the newest Cura does. My wife.
The newest Cura does? I haven't checked into that yet, so. Calgary said I was too quick to send. So, okay, so everybody's sending what they want. Yeah, if there's the first 12, I'm only going to take the first 12. So I've got to get rid of these. So there we go. We've got a bunch of filaments that we got to test. Wow. Raymond, you want to print with some Kodak filament for me?
Sure. I have a nice CR10 to try it out on.
Okay. Yeah, you can have it on Monday.
Speaking of filaments,
yeah,
let's talk about tech support.
Let's talk about tech support. Raymond, do you get a lot of tech support questions?
Not quite as much, because I generally hide in the back at Spool 3D, or at home I do. Friends, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I do get, but what bothers me the most is I get tech support on stuff that I don't know anything about.
Gotcha.
What do you think about that?
I get emails, I get messages. You've seen it. People walk into the store directly looking for me for advice. That's kind of the curse of having a show like this. And I get that, but please, people, understand, I don't know everything about 3D printing. I can guide you through some of the stuff that I do know. I'm learning along with you guys a lot of the times, and I will go and research stuff for my clients and for our community, and try and get you some definite answers. But I don't have all the answers on every machine and every problem that you're going to have out there. So please bear that in mind when you're sending me questions. I love your questions, don't get me wrong. But we had a great example on Thursday, with the guy who brought in a Robo 2. Now, I've worked on a couple of Robo 1 and a Robo 1 Pluses. I've worked on Prusa. I've worked on Creality. I've worked on Wanhao. I've worked on a number of different printers in the time that I've been involved in the hobby, and more so since I've been involved with Spool 3D and the show. But I don't know every printer. I don't know every OS like Repetier or some of the other more bizarre ones that are out there. SmoothieWare, I have no clue about. I do know Marlin a little bit, more than enough to be dangerous. But please, if you are going to ask me a question, bear in mind, if I don't have an answer for you, please don't get upset. Because sometimes I just don't have the answer, and I am willing to go and look for it. But if I've got 20 requests in a week, I only have so much time in a week. So bear that in mind. But you know, as far as tech support goes, I will answer questions from time to time through email. Now, I look at all the comments that come in on any of our videos. I don't engage a lot of them because I just don't have time. If I sat down and answered every comment that we get on the videos, I would get nothing done. I could be at my computer for 12 hours a day for all the comments that we get. But I do read your comments, so bear that in mind. And sometimes they come up in a later show. So keep that in mind as well. Robert Holak, I hope I'm saying that right. Cura 4.0 will talk to Ultimaker over the network directly. If you have something else supported by Octoprint, there's a Cura plugin for that. That's absolutely right. There is a plugin plugin for Cura to talk to Octoprint. I haven't done it myself. Raymond, are you using Octoprint at all?
I'm not yet. I have it on one of my machines. I just
Yep.
haven't had a chance to set it up yet.
There is a great series of videos on Octoprint for anybody that is interested in using Octoprint. I really want you guys to go out and check Joe Mike Terranella, JMT, here on YouTube. He has got a great series of videos on Octoprint. They are hands down the best. I couldn't even cover the information that he covers on them. I will tackle a little bit of it later on, but it's going to be the most basic stuff. But if you want good, really good information on Octoprint, go check out Joe Mike Terranella here on YouTube, or just type in Octoprint tutorials. I think he's got a great series of Octoprint tutorials out there.
There's an interesting question I just read here. And it says, Ray, how do I hook a mouse to my printer?
Tie
That
its
was
tail to a wire.
Yeah, that was the exact face I made too.
I don't
Don't
think
know
you
what to say
can.
about that one. No, that's why they have touch screens.
Now, bear in mind, you got that's the one of those questions that sometimes we get. And how do you hook a mouse to a computer? Or how do you hook a mouse to a printer? You don't. If you have Octoprint or AstroPrint, certainly you can hook a mouse to your Raspberry Pi and use a mouse that way. But you got to remember that 3D printers, like CNC machines, only have controllers. They don't have processors. So they aren't, in terms of computing, they're not a computer. They are just a controlling device that controls everything that the G code is telling it to do.
I'm a big fan of touch screens. I've put touch screens in just about all of my printers. I like them because there's multiple menus. They're easy to navigate through. It started with me with the FL Sun printer. I had a 3.5 touch screen in there. Works like a charm. I love them.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a couple here. I have. Let me see if I can. Let me just go into my mess. Okay, here we go. We've got one right here. Dun, dun, dun. So this is a Raspberry Pi. Let me just switch cameras here real quick. I gotta know where my. I got so many things on my desk, Ray. Here, let's cut to this. So this right here is an Astro Box Touch that I 3D printed and put a Raspberry Pi in. It's got a touch screen on it. Does it work well? Sure it does. It's got a really nice interface to it as well. There's a little slot in the back that I could hook up. Let me see if I can get that. There you go. There you go. There we go. You can see here that there's a slot that you can run a camera out from there. You still have access to all your USB ports. So the only thing about this particular Pi is that with AstroBox, you do need to have an external Wi-Fi. I don't know why. I have tried to get the internal Wi-Fi working, but for whatever reason, it doesn't. So there we go. I'm actually legitimately having an issue Cura will not work when plugged directly into my ANET A8. I have to use the SD. I even tried again with the correct baud rate. It just won't work. Advice. Well, part of that
Stick with the
problem,
SD.
stick with the SD. I never, other than hooking up a Raspberry Pi for Octoprint or Astroprint, I never connect my computer unless I have to do a firmware update to my 3D printer. Now, the ANET A8 is a horrible machine for the board in which they use. Now, I know that some of you guys are going to say, "Oh, the ANET's a great machine," and it is for what it is. It's a very good machine. It's not a great machine. I have one sitting over here in my office. It's been sitting here for a good 7 months at least, and the mother or the main board that come in there in those, they're very, very cheap. Good evening to Mr. Richard Taylor from Saskatoon. Welcome. I like using an SD card because if the SD card fails, they're not very expensive. You pitch it, you get another one, and you start loading your models onto it. I like the simplicity of SD cards. I do not like having a computer hooked up to the 3D printer because first and foremost, if your computer goes to sleep, you've got a foobar print, and that'll never change. Secondly, why do I want to have a big computer or a laptop or something like that hooked up to the printer? Don't really need to. Um, the SD card is there for a reason, and I think SD cards are by far the most secure way to get your files to your 3D printer. What do you think, Ray?
I agree. The only time I hook mine up as well is when I need to flash the firmware.
Yeah, that's the only
That
time I
is
do
it.
it too.
Yeah, I have multiple SD cards per machine,
Hmm.
so I always have one. So if I'm working on something, I may be working on a model where it's not quite right, but I'm printing the top half of it to check for fit. I can switch SD cards out later.
Right. And I agree with that 100%. I think that the USB on those boards that come with the ANET are janky at best. I had my very first printer was a Hicktop 3DP08, and it has the same board that the ANET has. It's a red board, and they're very low quality. Uh, you're almost better off in some cases to have an Arduino ramps stack over that board. Yes, it's an all-in-one board, but it certainly doesn't have the I/O availability that you may want later down the line if you want to add something like a BL Touch, or you want to add LEDs or things like that. Those boards really are not. They're manufactured very cheaply, so I usually will tell people to invest some money into a much better board. If they love the printer, great, but invest into something that's a much better board. 77 there, 777 T Hubs says, I had my Ender 3 plugged into my PC and forgot about it mid print. I loaded up Cura and it reset the print, causing me to lose hours of print. Fun day. Yeah, I've had that happen to me too. I mean, I've gone through all of this that you guys are going through right now. Ray, have you done any of that?
Yeah, I've done quite a bit of it as well. Computer's gone to sleep. I've had a 13-hour print there. I was working on something else on the computer, and all of a sudden it went to sleep. I went, uh-oh, there goes 13 hours done.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had the same thing happen to me. So I think that at the end of the day, if you want to hook up something to your printer, get yourself a Raspberry Pi. They're pretty cheap. They're a $35 computer in the States. They're a single board computer. The new version of the 3B Plus is what's out now. It's a great little machine to use. You get yourself a touchscreen, you're all set to go. Use that for connecting to Wi-Fi and being able to monitor your prints, and I think that's the way to go if you have to have it. If not, just write to the SD card and stick it in the machine. It takes actually, it's faster to write it to the SD card and slip the SD card in the machine than it is to send it over Wi-Fi to this little box and have the network take care of it. That's my opinion.
I agree.
Somebody's going to have another opinion, but that's my opinion. What would you recommend for the ANET? In all honesty, I would recommend that you go with a MKS. I'm a huge fan of MKS boards, as Raymond knows. I've got a couple floating around in my office here. For the price, you can't beat them. And the MKS Gen L board, you can put your own steppers on it. You can put Trinamic steppers on it. You can get it to run at 16 or 32 microsteps. And it is a good, solid little board. It has a lot of I/O. It integrates well into most ecosystems. If you're using the latest version of Marlin firmware, 1.1.9, which is the latest one, because 2.0 is still in beta test. That's certainly it. There's a file folder in the example folders for ANET machines, so you can just pull out the ANET A, copy over a couple of files, you're off to the races, and you're up and running.
I agree. That was the first board that I had experience with as well, which is what's in the FL Sun machine, and I love it as well. It's a great board.
Board upgrade for original CR10. Well, apparently TH3D is coming out with one. I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to it. But if I were going to upgrade my board in the CR10 or the CR10S, I would certainly, if I wasn't going to go 32-bit, I would certainly stick with 8-bit, and it would be MKS all the way. What would you recommend for a board on the A8? Well, I recommend the MKS Gen L.
They're
Great
cheap.
little board. They're cheap. They're inexpensive. The drivers for them are probably going to be your most expense when you add them up, because you'll need at least 4 drivers, possibly 5. Build a hypercube with it. Ronnie Julian saying. Art's got a different perspective here. Let's discuss it. He says, I disagree. I slice on my main computer and Wi-Fi through Octopi and start. Can't get out of my chair any faster than that to get to the printer. My printers are pretty close to me at home. They're pretty close to me here in the studio, so yeah, I got no problem. So everybody's got their own thing. I mean, if you're a big fan of Octopi, that's cool. I mean, I got no gripes against you. I think that's great. But at the end of the day, I think that anytime that you connect a computer to a 3D printer, you have a new point of failure. So North Gas Sawyer. Or North Gassoyer. I give up. Good night, all. Good night, sir. See you at the shop next week for an upgrade, RT says. Well, we look forward to that. Copy to Octoprint is fast, but not to SD in machine. Okay. Again, everybody's got a different experience. I mean, my experience has always been it's faster for me to put it on the SD card and over to the machine, but I have used, like I said, this is an AstroPrint box. I've used AstroPrint, I've used Octopi, and at the end of the day, I don't really need to monitor my prints because I've been printing now for so long that I know my printers, and I know if they're going to fail, and I can tell by sound if they're failing, and then I can just go and take care of it.
The same as me now. I just, especially my enders that are all locked up now and all dialed in, I just hit print and walk away.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I just hit print and walk away. Yeah, don't copy to the SD card using Octoprint. It takes forever using the internal storage. Absolutely, it does. Good night, everyone. Good night, John Kruger. Thank you for joining us. I slice with S3D, upload to Pi with Octoprint wirelessly, and print. Hey, way to go, Jerry. I mean, again, everybody has different experiences, and if it's working for you, great, thumbs up to you. And I couldn't be happier. But for me, I could use the walk.
All I have to do is turn my chair around.
Yeah, there you go. At home, that's all I have to do is turn my chair and roll it a little bit, and I can just slip the SD cards into the machines, and we're off to the races. So, um, but I do experiment with stuff here in the shop. So, again, I will do something on Astroprint and Octoprint a little bit down the line. But for now, I say go check out Joe Mike Terranella, and he has got the best Octoprint tutorials that you could ask for. Can you only tell by sound if you're not running 2208 drivers? Um, that's a good question. I'm not sure how to answer that. What do you think, Ray?
I'm not sure how to answer that either. That's basically how I know myself is by the
Yeah.
sound.
Well, I know that in this um, Ender 3 that I've got sitting here, the one that's pretty much stock, we did put the board in there, the one with the silent steppers from Creality. It did reduce the noise by about 10 dB compared to the one that I put the MKS Gen L board into with the same drivers. I think the MKS is quieter. I think that the MKS works a little better because I've got it set to 16 microsteps. I get cleaner prints off the MKS. I don't get as clean a print off of the Creality board. So usually it can be noise, but it also depends in your slice or in your firmware. If you have not set up your firmware, especially in the new firmware, for the type of drivers that you've put on the board, they will default to 49, 47, 20,
Yeah, I think so.
4498s,
4498. Yeah.
4498s. So it will default to 4498s, even if you've got, you know, 2208 steppers in there. If you haven't told the Marlin firmware that you're using 2208s, then it's going to default back to the lowest stepper. Richard, if building a 3D printer from scratch, what baseboard would you say is the best way to go? Baseboard, depending on the type of printer you're building. If you're building something that needs to have uh, a lot of capability, or you're running, several motors because of the size beds or size of the beds. 4988, Ben says. That's right.
That's
I
it.
always
There
get
we
those
go.
numbers mixed up. You can go up to duet boards, which at $250 a pop, they're a nice board. They work well. There's large boards that I'm going to be experimenting with here, which is a 32-bit board I'm going to experiment with very soon. I've got the Big Tree 32-bit board coming. So at the end of the day, if I was building a computer or a printer today, I think I would look at a 32-bit board, whether it be the Big Tree Tech or a large board or an MKS. MKS has 32-bit boards as well. 32-bit boards would probably be the way I go now because 2.0 is right on that cusp of being released. But if you can't find one or you're unsure about it, then I would always fall back to an MKS 8-bit board, Gen L. I like the Gen Ls or the Gen 1.4s because they have steppers that can be removed. And I always look for a board where I can remove the steppers and do whatever I need to with the steppers. Because if you blow a stepper, it's so much easier just to take it off without, sacrificing a whole board. Ray, what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. I had that problem. I blew a stepper, pulled it off, put a new stepper in. Didn't have to adjust the firmware because I put the same stepper back into it and back up and running again.
There you go.
Same for me. It's the same principle as a MOSFET. MOSFET's there to protect your board. The
Yeah,
stepper is there to protect the board. Same
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Let's talk about MOSFETs because I know questions like that come up quite a bit. We've only got, well, we're at 8 o'clock now. We're running a little over, but we're going to end it off on MOSFETs tonight. MOSFETs, I use one only on the bed. I know some people that have used MOSFETs on both the bed and the extruder. What's your opinion about that?
My FL Sun, I have one on the bed and the extruder
Mhm.
itself, mostly because the power supply that the FL Sun comes with is not the greatest power supply.
Okay.
I did the research before I built the kit,
Yeah,
and that's basically what they said. So for me, it was cheaper to buy a $5 or a $10 MOSFET than it is to buy a $30 power supply.
I agree with you. I think to buy a couple dollars worth of MOSFETs, let's say $20 worth of MOSFETs for both your bed and your hot end. To me, if you're running what, for lack of a better term, a dirty power supply,
Yeah.
which is what a lot of these cheap Chinese ones are, they're just dirty power. Those MOSFETs will definitely be added insurance on your 3D printer that you won't blow a MOSFET on the board itself. Because again, if you blow the MOSFET on the board, you're hooped. That board has to go out in the garbage. If you blow the MOSFET before it gets to the board, it's a pretty easy fix.
Which I've done already on the FL Sun.
Yeah, and I've done that on the Ender. Remember? I did that
Yeah.
on my first Ender. I blew the board twice. It blew the MOSFET on the board. So I put an external MOSFET on it, and there we go. It's been working like a champ ever since. So I've got a nanoleaf project coming up that I've been working on. I'm doing some testing with it now. We're gonna bring that out probably in August or September. I'm not sure when, but we've got episodes all the way till the end of July already set up and ready to go. That's what these Saturdays are about when I come in here and record. So I don't get a chance to do it very often, and Ray can attest to the busy weeks that we have here now. So I don't get a lot of time to record anymore during the week. But that being said, Raymond, thanks for joining me tonight.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm glad you could be here. It was nice having a fresh face here tonight and somebody I could bounce some stuff off of. And you have your own opinions, and I like that. I want to thank all you guys that are in the chat tonight and those people watching. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're at the end of our evening. Thank you for everything, and thank you for your comments and your collaborations, and you know keep coming back. We got a brand new episode coming out on Wednesday, and see what that one's all about. I'm not going to tell you in advance. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. No spoilers.
I'll come to the office tomorrow and look.
Okay. No, that'd be Monday. If you come tomorrow, you're going
Monday.
to be standing outside.
It'll be Monday.
All right. So until we see you guys again on Wednesday, remember that the first layer is always your foundation to a great print. Have a nice weekend and enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'm going to go shut down the stream.
Perfect.